How often do you think about the Oscars? About how many Oscar winning films there are and how many you've seen? Yeah, there's a few famous Oscar winning films that we've all seen, The Godfather and Lord of the Rings and Titanic, I'm King of the World, all that stuff. But the Oscars have been running since 1927. There are currently over 1,000 films, feature length films, which have won an Oscar. How many have you seen? I did the numbers for myself. It's not many, and I consider myself quite a movie buff. So here then is the premise of this podcast. Every episode, I and a rotating cast of two guests will randomly select one of the 1,000 films that have won an Oscar, watch it, and talk about it, with the only requirement being that one of the three people on each episode has to have never seen the movie before we talk about it. That will get difficult with Star Wars. Please note that our coverage of a movie does not constitute an endorsement of it. My least favorite movie of 2016, David Ayer's Suicide Squad, won an Oscar for Best Makeup, while my favorite movie of 2016, The Handmaiden, wasn't even nominated for anything. Please also note that our coverage of a movie is not a blanket endorsement of any or all of the people involved in it. A lot of terrible people have won Oscars. Kevin Spacey won an Oscar 20 years before he was outed as an abuser, and Roman Polanski won one 20 years after. But every film, good, bad, or in many cases mediocre, that has won an Oscar is an important part of film history just for being there. And they all, on some level, deserve a tiny bit of consideration, even if that consideration ends up concluding that it's garbage. And with all of that in mind, I'm your host, as always, Ellie McConaughey, and with me today is Jasmine Garcia.
Wow. If I had a nickel for every movie I've watched for this podcast that involved Deborah Carr trying to educate children of color, most of whom are not played by children of color, I'd have two nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's galling it happened twice.
And Vel, no last name.
If attending a Bible college is anything like being in a convent, I can totally understand why that sister went insane.
And we are here today to talk about Black Narcissus, the 1947 film that won Best Color Cinematography and Best Color Art Direction at the 20th Academy Awards, which I think is like one of our most heavily covered years at this point. Gentleman's Agreement, Miracle on 34th Street, this.
That's wild.
I'm gonna roll Zippity Doodah. Next up, you know it. We all know Zippity Doodah is coming.
Oh.
Or the weird racist documentary that won Best Documentary this year. Anyway, so how are we all feeling about Black Narcissus? I really love this movie, so don't be too mean.
I was thinking as I was watching this, is like, okay, we're gonna have to really try to be gentle because we love and respect Ellie.
But also, Ellie is a crazy person, so...
No, I am not going to just dismiss it as a case of Ellie is crazy.
You could, though. Like, that is a common thing to dismiss.
Yeah, but I don't care to do that personally. Like, I would rather hear all of the reasons you adore this film, because this definitely tested my focus a little bit, I will be honest. Beautiful looking movie, and it definitely has its moments of really good drama and intrigue, but it's like, it's not all tied together well enough for my brain, I guess.
Yeah, it's a very slow burn of a movie. I said this as much as when Ellie and I were talking. You and I were talking like it's the early part of it. I wound up having to watch this in two sittings just because between my ADHD and just work, I was exhausted and couldn't keep track of it.
See, here's the thing. I can work with the slow burn, but it feels like it has to feel like it really has a point, and it doesn't feel like it had like a one story to tell. It had like five.
Yeah, it's working on these like multiple threads with all these different characters. Some of them, realistically, in a modern film, probably would have just been cut, but so it's like you're going through it, and the next thing and you're just like, okay, is this kind of going anywhere, or is this going to be just like one of those movies where it's just like you're in it for the journey, and then the like what 1 hour 10 mark hits, and it's just like, okay, never mind, brakes are shot, let's go.
Mm-hmm. Suddenly people have lost their fucking minds.
Yeah.
Suddenly people have died,
Mm-hmm.
including a baby.
Rip to that baby, I guess. Colonialism joke that I can't make.
Ooh.
The thing is, like, I don't know. So I feel like the first thing that always has to be established about me is I have a much higher than usual tolerance for just like movies in which basically nothing happens. My Letterboxd profile says that I have become a Jerry defender, the Gus Van Sant film Jerry, and if you've seen that movie or famously the Brows Held High video on it, you'll know that
Yeah.
that makes me a fucking crazy person. I actually think that movie's really good. I will not explain myself. I am David Lynch in this one. Elaborate on that. No.
And I guess you'll never have to explain it because I don't believe that won an Oscar.
I will trick Sam into covering it if I have to.
Yeah, yeah, you could easily do that. Sam is the one that all the other movies can go to.
Oh god, could I make an argument that's a retelling of I could
Did the creators intended, Ellie?
well, it's based on a real life event, so there's that.
Oh, yeah, those are gray areas, I guess.
We're not here to talk about Jerry. We're here to talk about Black Narcissus. So that needs to be established right from the jump. Like if you're gonna argue against a movie for me with it's boring, I don't know, man. Like I have different. I figured out at some point recently that I have a very different definition of boring to most people. Weird things will hold my interest. Joker, for all that it is a beloved movie, did not hold my interest at all. Very much tested my focus.
I will say it's not even that it's boring. I don't think this is boring. It's too pretty and there's too much going on for it to be boring. I just
Mhm.
found it difficult to really latch on to anything.
Yeah, it's very much an alienating kind of film. The characters are, I feel like, on some level, kind of intentionally not super pleasant. I mentioned to Vel in conversation at work that I have what I think is a fairly novel interpretation of the title, which is all of these people have come to this incredibly gorgeous place in the world, this incredibly gorgeous, unique culture that is different from theirs, and all they can see is themselves. They cannot look beyond their own internal issues and their own petty issues with each other to look at the world they're actually in, and that is why it's destroying them, because they refuse to adapt to where they are.
See, and I'm not sure. Well, so that does at least back up with Sister Claudia's opinion about the place, that you basically have to become either like the leading man or a side character who is the uncle of the guy who's put them up there,
Mm-hmm.
who's now becoming a holy man sitting on the like basically you have to either rise above it or you have to completely let it, you know, consume you. And there is some level of that because like one of the first, it's the first, for the sake of the audience, like the first half of the movie is mostly like I would almost say vignettes. Except they're not quite so standalone, but like little shots of them kind of establishing the new convent. These are a bunch of Anglican sisters who have been put up for a project of some sort the in the British colonies in India. And the early part of it is always like, yeah, like they're setting up and they imply it. It's like they're taking some level in the work, and then like you get into it, and later as things start actually going on, like one of the sisters has just completely lost herself to her environment in some level, where she's now just like straight up actually kind of sabotaging the goals of the convent, because like she's like, oh, let's plant some flowers
Mm-hmm.
in the garden instead of, vegetables, and these are not like, and that she has like, it is kind of interesting in that dynamic. It's like, well, most people would think, oh, that's cool, you're starting to like feel at home in the space, and there's like, no, that's bad, I need to leave now, like I'm losing myself to this, which
Mm-hmm.
is kind of fascinating in that regard. It almost feels like the house that they're in, the facility they're in, is supposed to be more of the character than any of the individuals, and how it kind of affects them.
Yeah.
That's fair, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't even feel like it like, I don't know if I can blame the setting on this, like, they as much as they all try to. It's just like, no, I think you're all just kind of very self-involved people, self-righteous people, which, you know, not to put too fine a point on it, that does seem to be an not uncommon trait among a certain brand of Catholic or Anglican, I guess in this case.
It's interesting because like a lot about this movie got kind of, I don't want to say like remembered in reverse, but like that is what happened because this movie was released in April 1947. It is about a bunch of British people coming to India to try to force it to conform to what they want it to be and utterly and completely failing. And does anyone remember what happened in August of 1947?
Yeah, it famously happens right at the end of the, basically right before the British colonial project in India just fails.
India achieved independence from England in August of 1947, if the listeners don't know. So a lot of this movie gets sort of interpreted as colonial. I don't want to say like as sort of an example of how colonialism is kind of failing. We get to see these nuns who are very devoted to making things work their way. And everyone is telling them this is not going to work out for you. You either have to adapt or you need to leave. And they have to leave. And I don't know, obviously the creators couldn't have thought of it. This movie wasn't written knowing England was going to leave India 6 months later, but it's interesting that was what was on their mind when they made it.
It's almost like the dying breath of colonialism, or at least that particular brand of it.
Well, I was, we mentioned that this is another movie where Deborah Kerr tries to teach people from Asia something, which is, we'll talk about. We talked about that's The King and I, right? That we're talking about.
Yeah.
And so, like, my brain, it had been a while since I'd seen this film, and I liked this film a lot, but it had been a while. And so my brain was like, okay, am I going to be prepped for this movie to be super racist? And it's not like racially sensitive. It is a movie made in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
But like I liked the opening monologue from what's the name of the guy? I have him in my notes. Dean, where he's just like, these are just people, man.
Mr. Dean, yeah.
These are just people like anywhere else.
Yep, calm the fuck down.
Calm your shit. I like
really the best thing he did in the whole movie.
Dean doesn't do anything in the movie, frankly. He is just kind of hanging around being annoyed with everything.
Why is everyone so thirsty for him, especially when the prince is right there?
I mean, there's the one girl that's thirsty for the prince.
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't get any lines and is one of the many brown face characters.
And is a white girl.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do without that, buddy.
The prince is not. Sabu was in fact of Indian descent.
He is, I think, the only actor of Indian descent in a named role. I believe many of the extras were locals.
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, of the named characters.
And also kind of a dish he was, if you ask me.
Yeah, he was a dish in his youth. We can appreciate the prince. I also love.
So I hate to break it to you, actually. Sabu sadly died when he was 39.
Oh, yike.
Yeah. Heart attack, crazy.
39, Christ. Well, that's a bummer. Well, he was a dish when he was alive. Give him that.
Yep.
That's a bummer. Anyway.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. We are recording this literally hours after it was announced Diane Keaton died, and I'm just so sitting here like, man.
Yeah, jeez.
Man.
Mortality's a bitch.
Mortality is a bitch. We should stop that. We should destroy death. That will work out great. I am chosen by the narrative, and God cannot punish me. Anyway.
Well, see, what I've been informed is if you take a, quote, non-feminizing dosage of estrogen, you'll basically live forever.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm gonna have to talk about that movie one day.
Oh, no, we're talking about a real dude.
Yeah, we're talking about what is his name?
Brian Johnson.
Brian Johnson, yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
A man who is force-femming himself, like, in front of everyone, insisting he's not taking a feminizing dosage.
I can't.
No, we're not dealing with Brian Johnson. He does not exist in the film of Black Narcissus. No, I liked the bit from the prince as the I want to say like he shows up and he wants to come learn at the convent. And they're like, "Well, convents are for women." And he goes, "Well, that's not very polite to the men." I liked that a lot. Young MRA right here.
Oh no.
It's it's fascinating, yeah, because it's like they want him. He plays them like a fiddle on some level, because it's like they don't want to like turn out the locals, obviously, because they are aware they are aware implicitly that their presence is at the grace of the locals,
Mm-hmm.
and at the grace specifically of his dad, I think.
His uncle, wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was his uncle.
I think the uncle is
Oh, the holy man.
the holy man.
I am so sorry, Ellie. I knew I should have written notes, but I didn't.
You didn't write notes? Okay.
So like they don't want to turn him out, and it's like he knows exactly, like, in this, like, he's not being malicious, he's not intentionally trying to like twist their words, like he just immediately says like, well, would Jesus turn me away? And they're just like, well, shit, I guess we gotta let him in now.
I mean, honestly, most of this movie was me going, man, none of you are doing what Jesus would do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think the nuns are like the nuns are the protagonists, but I don't think they are intended to be particularly sympathetic.
No, and I understand that. That doesn't make it more fun, though.
No, fair. Except for Sister Bryony. I like her a lot. Sister Bryony, I am free on Thursday.
was she the one who tried to save the baby? Because yes, I did like her.
No, that's Sister Honey. Sister Bryony was the big.
Okay.
That's Sister Honey.
Bryony was the really big one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, she's the the actual doctor or nurse.
Okay, fair enough.
And like, well, that was an interesting beat because like, it's true that like the immediate desire is to try to save this kid, but Bryony recognizes correctly. It turns out, no, we can't actually do anything for this kid. But if we give him something, they will blame us that for him dying.
Yeah.
So and that is something that they are told to their faces at one point, and Sister Honey does it anyway. And like, you know, there's that opening monologue from the Sister Superior, who is only in that first scene, where she basically says like, here are the people, here are your characters in this movie, here are their character traits and their character flaws, and none of them ever overcome it except for Sister Ruth, who goes nuts.
Yeah, she overcomes it in
the worst possible way.
The ultimate way.
But honestly, yeah, if this was made in the modern day, they absolutely would have like Suicide Squad style title cards for each character. I am sorry to break it to you.
Or at the very least, I feel like they would have spent some more time. It's kind of fascinating juxtaposing how the convent is set up versus how it's actually like shown in the film, because they set it up, the Sister Superior, yeah, is like saying like, okay, here's the women I'm sending with you, and here's what they are going to bring to the project. Here's why you need them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the movie, like, they obviously appear through the rest of the movie, but that's about it. The rest of the movie is largely the Sister Claudia and Dean's show, where it's like, it's viewing their actions and mistakes and whatever through Claudia trying to like hold the convent together. And it's very interesting in that, yeah, where it's like, if you're looking at it through modern eyes, like there is a certain degree of expectation being set up by the film that like and it's like, well, no, none of this will, like, you know, Honey will get like 3 or 4 moments to actually speak, but will largely be off screen.
Mm-hmm.
Ruth is literally off screen for most of the movie because she's sick until the very end. And like, it's not about them, which is, it leads to this very interesting split viewing it through modern eyes.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. to this movie. This could have made a banger miniseries, I think.
I mean, it's interesting because like, it isn't a fast moving film, but it's also not like an especially long film. It's what, like 100 minutes?
It's it's an hour and 40.
So it is shorter than Star Wars, to borrow a term from We Hate Movies. So I don't know, like, I do kind of like wonder what would have happened if they'd made it longer. But also, like, there are movies that exist very heavily in their time period. I feel like this movie is very much, you can taste that it was made in 1947 for better and for worse.
Yeah, even like certain cinematography choices made, like there's a reason. This is a technical movie. This movie is a technical marvel. That's why it has the to loop it back into the fact that it got the best color and best color art.
Cinematography and best art direction, color.
Yeah, and it's like there are moments in this film that feel very much of its time in the same way that like you watch Wizard of Oz, and there are like moments where like they're panning over and they're focusing on like really small little details. It's like, well, why are they doing it? They're showing off the tech. They're showing off what they can do now.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's like you have that whole moment when spring comes, and I'm not gonna like ding that scene. Those flowers are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I want that dogwood tree like live closer to my apartment, but like but at the same time it's like it is there to basically say, hey, look at what we can do, which is kind of this interesting time capsule of just like how film at the time does that. It's like, and this isn't to say that film doesn't do that anymore. Now we just do 360 pans.
Now we just sort of like put directed by James Cameron in the credits and give him $500 million.
$500 million to go back into the Marianas Trench. Yeah.
Man, remember when he made documentaries?
Hmm.
Hmm.
At least outside of Netflix.
I still hold by that he should just be given unlimited money to go back into the Marianas Trench and bring up just weird shrimp to give to people to cook.
He still wants to keep making those Avatar films.
And
It is definitely like, I don't know if I ever like so I got into a discussion with a friend of mine, shout out to Bun, about whether or not this movie was a horror film. I maintain that it kind of is.
at least in the last 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. When it kind of like when Ruth kind of snaps and starts acting like a horror villain. Although you see her pop up occasionally, like she shows up in a couple other scenes, and you're sort of like, oh, she's always just kind of like,
Frayed.
yeah, like she's
Mhm.
not. She's already slightly bent. It's not going to take that much more force to snap her.
No, and
Mhm.
she does give really good, like all those scenes where it's just her face just glaring at it, everyone. Those are really, really good. I I wish she had done a monster movie. I really wish she had.
There's a reason why for a very long time when I was in my 20s, my profile picture on Facebook was the shot of her stepping out of the door where she's just giving the best crazy eye anyone has ever given a camera.
Yeah, no, Kathleen Byron really did, like, I guess this predates it, but mastered the Kubrick
Mm-hmm.
stare in that regards, that she's just giving
Yeah.
between her the intensity and then also just like the makeup work that they've done around her eyes. Her eyes are always ringed in. They always go at it with like a little bit of red eyeliner, and like just kind of like intensifies the glaze, or the gaze rather. That like sells it all very well.
Not doesn't predate it by that much. His first film, which is like very rarely seen, is only like 5 years out from Black Narcissus. I think it's the only one of his that I haven't seen. Yeah, turn on, brain. Come on, brain. Work with me here.
Come on, brain. Think of things.
No, the point I guess I'm making. We probably shouldn't examine the fact that I had Sister Ruth as my profile picture when I was still a boy. Anyway,
I love it when you make jokes like that. Not gonna lie.
no, like it does. I feel like we're kind of in horrors. I don't want to call it the dark age because there is some really good horror films that are going to come out of this era. Night of the Hunter is going to come out in a few years. Prior to this, we had stuff like Nosferatu and Dr. Caligari, but like the period between the start of the Hays Code and I guess maybe like the 60s, horror is very difficult to make under the restrictions of the Hays Code.
Mhm.
Just stop Universal.
Yeah, again, not going to say that that's a universal unilateral statement. I'm being general, and honestly, as much as I love a lot of the Universal monster movies, they're not that scary.
Well, yeah, no. At least not by modern standards for the most part.
What's the joke from Treehouse of Horror? Maybe people were easier to scare back then. Yeah, you go back and watch the original Friday the 13th. Pretty tame by today's standards. but it does, the my memories of the film are so built around the last like half hour that it feels like a horror movie in my brain. And I do all of my rewatches. I chose it when I rolled it because I'm like, this is definitely, it was the closest thing to horror I rolled,
Hmm.
unless you count Dallas Buyers Club as a horror movie, which I do.
It, uh, I mean, fair.
I count that movie as a hate crime.
Yeah, that tracks. Would have been topical. Would have been topical though. God.
Yeah, everyone's excited for the new Nine Inch Nails album. What do you mean there's a movie?
What if there's a movie that made even less than Morbius?
It is in
Insane.
fact going to make a more $1 billion. Uh,
What does Jared Leto have on Hollywood? I need to know.
he's got the actual Epstein files. I'm just calling it now.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Oh, I definitely agree that it's at least in the realm of horror. When I was like, I think I saw a description when I was like going back to find the casting names, the names of the cast, that like it's described as a psychological drama,
Mm,
which I think is maybe that's a safe answer, but I think that's at least
Yeah.
accurate in that like maybe it's not selling itself as horror, but it has like a lot of the elements of horror that kind of like permeate even like lower into like non-horror genres, where you want some, it's clearly about, it's clearly intended to be somewhat horrific at the very least.
Could we say that this is gothic at least?
yeah.
Yes.
Close enough.
And I can definitely see where like other horror stuff
Mm-hmm.
would eventually like pull from this. I don't know for a fact that the Witch 2015 is like inspired by this movie, but like at the same time you can see elements of like how this turned into certain forms of religious horror that the Witch is now, you know, playing with in, you know 80 70 years later. So it's clearly, if not directly a horror, it is the inspiration for a lot of horror.
I mean, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to ask both of you to get in your head what cinematography of what movie was supposedly influenced by this one. It's a famous movie. This will be a movie you have heard of. Get it in your head what the most silly answer you could get is.
Oh, the silly answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going to first guess The Devils.
The Devils was so I will say that it's a gorgeous looking film. It looks
Mm-hmm.
it looks great. I assume that any person who wanted to get into matte paintings watched this movie religiously, so to speak.
The matte paintings are gorgeous, I will say that.
I'm gonna say George Miller's Happy Feet.
Okay, George Miller's Happy Feet.
Why?
Jasmine, what do you got for me?
Because she said the silliest answer.
Good answer. That's an extremely good answer.
The Phoenician scheme. Because I couldn't help but think of it because, of course, similar vibes.
No, it's Frozen.
Oh.
I was looking on the Wikipedia entry when I was like, bouncing around. It does actually have, the book has a mini-series adaptation, by the way. So, maybe with Jenna Arterton in the lead role. So maybe, see what you
Ooh, I do like Gemma.
see if you can go for that. But yeah, according to the Wikipedia page, the people on Frozen listed it as an inspiration.
Okay, I don't know. Speaking of Tron, I guess we're just gonna be talking about Tron a bit in this episode. There was a list of all the movies that they supposedly were inspired by, and my friend from work, Jordan, and I both agreed, oh, they have got to be lying through their fucking teeth, because a combination of all these movies would, in fact, be probably the best movie ever. Like, I am talking, there were some stone cold classics there. Other than maybe the scenery, I cannot imagine what the fuck they got how they got from here to Frozen.
I can only maybe see the Ruth's like. I can see it if I squint, of like going from like Sister Ruth's repression causing her to break, and then the end of it, of like she's like putting on she's putting on makeup, she's wearing a modern dress. I can see it. I'm also stretching it does feel like a stretch.
I would look into it more if you're interested, but according to Wikipedia, while working on the look and nature of the film's cinematography, Frozen's art director Michael Giamio was greatly influenced by Jack Cardiff's work in Black Narcissus. Which I don't know. I'm hesitant to bring this movie up because my opinion differs so much from the pack, but like it kind of puts me in mind of the director of K-pop Demon Hunters saying she was inspired by the works of Bong Joon-ho, and I'm sitting there like, no, you weren't. Shut up.
Listen, I love K-pop Demon Hunters, but fuck off.
Shut up. No, you weren't. I've seen all of Bong Joon-ho movies. They don't look like this. It's fine. You don't have to be inspired by him.
You don't have to lie about your inspirations to try to make your movie look like a bigger thing than it is. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You've already got the #1 movie on Netflix for the next 5 years. You're gonna get 10 sequels of increasingly deranged quality.
Hell yes!
And the number one single for like how many months now?
Yes, I mean, listen, I'm happy about it. I know you have lukewarm feelings about it, Ellie, but I am personally thrilled.
You know, it's something. It's got a thought in its head. I'll give it that. I'm sure that song is gonna win Best Original Song. So we'll talk about the movie then.
I do find it interesting, and like we joked about this, but I also agree. Like where the matte painting was mentioned, the matte painting is absolutely gorgeous,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really cool if you see it in juxtaposition of like the actual shot, where it's it's just this like massive cliff, and then you look and it's like no, it's like a 3-foot drop
Mm-hmm.
to a to like some leveled out dirt, but the miniature work at the beginning where they're showing off this this it used to be a house where a former general like would keep his wives, and they're showing this and like it's done this like loving miniature, and I'm just like, wow, that's really cool. Which led to the joke of like, man, we really did, but like, there's some really cool stuff that's come out of the switch to CG, some ability to like not be bound by, what can be done in material reality, but at the same time, it's like we have missed out on a career path for a lot of nerds to just be like, hey, you like doing your you'd like doing miniature work and miniature painting, you could just completely go into Hollywood and do this work, and maybe not get really weird about the Black Templars on Twitter.
Ideally,
You should never be weird about Warhammer on Twitter. You person listening, if you're being weird on Twitter about Warhammer, stop it. Stop it.
Put down the phone and go paint some minis.
it's bad for your health.
You have a pile of shame. Go paint that instead of being weird on Twitter. Anyway, the argument in favor of CGI is what you said, that allows you to be unbound by the constraints of reality. Basically, Avatar could not exist in a world without CGI. But the flip side of that, and Avatar does whatever my problems with Avatar, and I have many problems with Avatar, which I'm sure I will talk about. It wins every technical award it ever get nominated for, but the a lot of them just sort of end up very flat as movies. Whereas, like, you can see it in the shot they have on Wikipedia about this film. The thing about matte paintings and miniature work and puppets is that they look good from certain angles. They don't necessarily look real. Looking good and looking real is not the same thing, but they look good from certain angles with certain lighting under certain effects. So you have to actually plan how you're shooting your scenes. You go and watch the special features on the thing. They spent oodles of time blocking out how to shoot those scenes because those puppets are not going to look good from every angle. And so there was a craft to that I feel like has gotten lost when if this movie was made today at Marvel Studios, that bottom of that cliff would just be green and no one would know what it looked like, and they wouldn't care where they put the camera. But the camera has to be high up and give this like imposing feeling of this cliffside to make the matte painting look good.
Yeah,
It takes a level of effort that you just don't see in this sort of thing anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and that is inherently a loss.
and there's like a texture to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I find very, especially looking at the again, I fixated on that pan shot or that of the I'm gonna call it the monastery because I don't know the actual word that they wanted to use for it, but like the convent of like
Palace.
the palace, yeah. There's like that there's like that rolling like, and it's not completely smoothed out, and it's not textured in a way where it's like you've applied like a texture map to it. it's it's rough. It looks like it's been made out of plaster. There's a specific texture to the walls and the material that they've made it with that you can kind of only get when you start just working with mediums and starting to like and mixing materials together and applying it to a physical structure that you just don't see a lot of now, because extra texture on a CG construction is more rendering time, which is increased costs, which is, potential room for delays or a cut into the margins of the film. And so like that is an element of it that has just been lost and is like really noticeably present in this movie in particular, but also like in anything that like used this type of like miniature model work
Mm-hmm.
before.
I feel like it's similar to how a lot of the animation fans feel about, current animation versus the hand-drawn animation in older films. There was just, it's not that it can't be good anymore, it's just that there's a level of effort and care that just doesn't go into it anymore.
It's also like, so this stuff gets brought up a lot in particular regards to puppeteering, but it also applies to miniature work, on specifically on movie miniature work and on matte paintings, which is that the skills for doing these things are dying out. There's not a lot of money to do a puppeteering apprenticeship over at the Sesame Workshop, because Sesame Street is currently dodging machetes from the US government. There's not a lot of apprenticeships or how to paint a good matte painting anymore. These skills are disappearing, and like, that's, on the one hand, it's going to lead to something like we have in a lot of like extremely weird technical fields, where if you are one of the 25 peoples on earth who can blow glass in the specific way needed for this scientific instrument, you'll never be out of work in your entire life.
Yeah, learn COBOL and never worry about a job because you can always work at a bank or government facility
Precisely,
somewhere.
precisely. But I don't know, like, it's sad that these art forms are disappearing, and there's no real way to no one is going to see a movie or not because of its matte painting, so there's no way to compel those things to be in more movies. If the matte paintings are gorgeous and stunning, 10 years later people will talk about how great they are, but no one's going to go see the movie at the time because of it.
And unfortunately, whether or not they're going to be seeing the movie 10 years from now is just not a priority anymore.
That too.
If it ever was.
I mean, this movie was never like at risk of disappearing, but it was not a super it at the time, it did very well, but at the time it was not like, you know critically a critical darling the way it is now, at least partially because I feel like the a Catholic Legion of Decency got mad at the film, you know.
Yeah, they apparently got really pissed off that like the movie implied that monastic traditions are a place for the neurotic or something like that.
The thinnest skinned Saurus winners of all time. My god.
And like this isn't the same group, but like it is worth it. There's the Legion of Decency has gone out. It like has declared bankruptcy or whatever in California. My favorite line is from the article announcing it is Seth MacFarlane saying it's like receiving hate mail from Hitler.
It's like, oh no. Anyway, anyone want celebratory cocktails?
I think it was like the Family Research Council in California. It was one of the big ones, but yeah.
Yeah, but like it's wild that like
I'm always dragging Vel onto Christian movies for some reason.
yeah, it's funny. Objectively funny that only come in for movies that are talking about Christianity and are also made before like 1980.
Mm.
But there's like it's wild that that's your complaint about it, because like if you watch that movie, I never got the impression that this movie like was derisive of monastic traditions,
Not at all.
or was derisive of, like, it never felt like, for instance, it was agreeing with, like, Sister Ruth, for instance, even if that about, like, her opinions of Sister Claudia. It just simply was like telling a story about an already difficult task, in retrospect, with some very complicated politics that maybe later got applied to it, like, and humans running up against a thing that they, like, an insurmountable task, which is go to a new country and where you do not speak the language, start this system and don't screw it up. And, the effect that can have on the people doing it. It's which there's no moral judgment in that statement.
Mm. And the nuns aren't like, Sister Honey is a perfectly nice person. She just makes some dumb decisions sometimes, and she's also kind of racist. But
They're all kind of
Yeah.
racist,
they're
though.
all kind of racist. Sister Bryony is fine.
When they're talking about the titular name uh of the movie, the Black Narcissus. Yeah, they're talking about a perfume specifically that the prince wears, and it's my theory of it is the name is supposed to be like it is a whiff of temptation or something coming in from the outside that kind of drives everything apart, but, like, it's they're talking about him mostly as, like, they describe him as, like, a peacock. He's fawning. He's peacocking. He's coming up dressed fancy and everything like that. And they just, like, immediately start saying something along the line of, like, I think they all look alike. And I'm like, ma'am, you can't say that.
You can't say that, white baby. I mean, like, the prince seems like, I feel like in a more overtly racist version, in a movie that agreed with the nuns' racism, the prince would be a bad person. The prince is fine.
Mhm.
The prince is a nice guy.
He seems sweet.
He's a little, like, stiff, and the same thing with the holy man. Like, she goes up to where he's sitting and is like, I want him moved, and Dean is like, man, he owns this whole place. Also, he's a former general. Leave him alone.
He's not bothering anyone.
Like, he names off, like, all of the titles and that he's been granted, and it's just like, oh, no, this guy isn't, like, important general in the local sense. And you kind of see that with, like, with Sister Claudia. It's like, this is, like, he is important in the eyes of England.
Mm-hmm.
Which there's maybe an interesting story about, like, why is this man who has all these awards and letters next to his name now just a holy man on a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I'd kind of like to see that story.
I like the holy man. I like that he is just sort of like hanging out there the entire movie. I like the sort of the line early on, late in the movie, when, like, Ruth has the break, and they ask, they're asking around, like, okay, did anyone see her anywhere? The holy man, he might have seen her, and the kid who's, like, hanging around the whole movie basically says he wouldn't notice that. He wouldn't notice her at all. It's sort of a good reminder that, like, as much as important all this shit is to them, man, the people here don't give a fuck what's going on with you. Even Dean is like, when Ruth comes to confess, he's like, I don't know, leave me out of this, please.
Yeah, like, he says, like, I've never loved anyone. Like,
Again, what do they see in this man?
I mean, he's got the pecs, I'll give him that.
he's got a voice.
He does have quite a voice.
I'll give him that.
I don't know, I can see why, if you're a boring straight woman, he would, like, he looks and occasionally sounds and every so often acts like the main love interest in a bodice ripper.
Yes, although I don't know if he necessarily looks it. I could see the argument that he acts it, though.
But my point, therefore, is if you're a boring straight woman who, because you're a nun, has not had sex in 10 years, yeah, I can see going nutso over this guy.
So it's kind of like with the Turkish Delight in the Chronicles of Narnia. Got it.
Precisely. Also, don't get Vel started on Chronicles of Narnia.
I may eventually, if you would like to be invited onto IER someday.
Maybe we'll talk about that.
No, like, I there's an easy joke there about how the person who's most completely immune to him is Sister Bryony, who might have joined the nuns for other reasons.
You get vibes. You think she's in the family?
Get the vibes. Get the
Yeah.
big buff woman vibes.
Yep, I see it. I see it.
I mean, that's something that the movie can't ever. The movie can't be. Again, it's 1947. The movie can't be that hot.
No.
Who plays him in the miniseries? I want to know who plays Dean in the miniseries.
Yeah, no, now I'm kind of curious. Do they sex the miniseries up? I feel like they would have to.
Alessandro Nivola. I don't know who this is.
Okay, one of the nuns is just out and out wearing like white makeup and like red lipstick, so that's something.
He played. Oh God, that's the worst thing possible to know him from. God damn it.
What?
What he's from Kraven the Hunter?
Do you remember in Jurassic Park 3 how Sam Neill has like a sidekick for some reason?
Oh,
He's the sidekick.
okay.
Oh no.
Rip that guy. He's in The Brutalist. He was in fact in Kraven the Hunter. He played the Rhino in Kraven the Hunter.
How did you do that, though? How did you do that?
They're a witch. Oh my God, he just plays the.
Okay, but miniseries version of Conchi is kind of.
Yeah, I get it. I'm.
Oh, he's in...
Anyway, we're not here to talk about the miniseries. We're here to talk about the movie. Also, I haven't seen the miniseries and probably won't.
Like, nothing against Gene Simmons, but like, God, the makeup artist did her no favors.
Yeah, I'm glad she doesn't talk. I was not looking forward to white girl doing Indian accent voice over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, that's one thing the last movie I was in, Around the World in 80 Days, was smart to not do, at least.
Yeah, it's just kind of like noticeable, and especially for Kanji, she's more of a presence, at least in the first half. Again, I feel like in a more modern movie, she probably would have just been cut because she doesn't do much. She just basically is just kind of there to be
Exoticized eye candy?
exotic. She's got like the dancing, like she's got like the little dancing scene, and then she's just ogles the prince and disappears after he refuses to beat her for stealing a chain.
They run off together is
Yeah.
what happened, and I do like how that happens mostly off screen because none of the nuns are paying attention to it.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I regret a lot about this podcast, it's that it is in fact going to be constantly smacking me in the face with reminders of how racist old movies used to be.
At this point, we could just do a bingo card of the various types of faces we're going to be dealing with.
Hold up. Let me check something. Did that win an Oscar? It probably won an Oscar. Yeah, best music score of a dramatic or comedy picture, and best song for Moon River.
Oh.
Who's excited to talk about Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Yeah.
I'm walking into the sound. Anyway.
Let me know if there are mermaids.
They're mermaids. I'm keeping them to myself, Jazz.
Wow!
No, we'll swim down to Florida and come get you.
Yay, good.
It'll be underwater sometime soon.
You're not wrong.
It's like, gee, how come your mom lets you have 3 mermaid GFs?
Listen. I need one of them to give me the shape of water treatment, kiss me, and I'll grow gills. It'll be fine.
It's fine. We'll be fine. Anyway, we're way off topic at this point. Although I think that's sort of like we have been talking for a while. I don't know. Like I was worried every time I go back and revisit something I loved a lot. I always do kind of worry that like my opinion will have changed. There's a reason why I've never rewatched Avengers Endgame, because I liked it, and I'm roughly positive that if I go see it again, I won't like it as much because a lot of that came from the crowd. I do still like this movie a lot. I recognize it's got flaws, but also, can I just say, I think these are 2 very important things from my notes that I really wanted to discuss. One,
please do.
I like how the guy who's in charge of the whole area is they're like debating what food they should bring for the nuns, and he just says, "Europeans eat sausages wherever they go."
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's true.
It's true. I kind of want some sausage right now.
How many of the choices on Scrandle are just some variant of sausage and bread?
And yet, they all slap.
Yeah.
What is a hot dog but a poor man's sausage? You're not wrong.
Exactly. Much like how I feel like all of Central and South America should not be forced to apologize for having 300 ways of combining cheese, beans, and tortillas because each and every one of them fucking owns.
Yes, they do.
I'm sorry, Europe and America are not going to apologize for our various different combinations of sausage and bread because they all rock. You find some food that works and you stick with it. The second thing I wanted to note is I know why they are used in the context of the environment, but every time I'm forced to watch one of these characters riding one of those miniature horses, I am giggling to myself.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just a pony.
Especially at the end when fucking Sister Claudia is riding one side saddle, and it's just like, please stop. This is a serious.
It's so funny specifically with Dean because he is like, those horses come up to his like at their shoulders or coming up to his waist,
Yeah.
and so it's so funny when he's actually on the thing because it's like, how are you not scraping your knees on the and it's just you have to sit a very specific way, but it's very funny. They're very cute horses.
They are cute horses.
And that's why it's hard to take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. A lot of what I would want to like talk about if I were doing like a lone video essay about it would unfortunately boil down to like, hey, that shot where she's walking through the convent and the light is just following her? That shot's incredible. That shot's gorgeous. Take me away, director of cinematography.
The lighting as well also when really it makes that scene, which is already a very intense scene. It's one of the few moments I feel like where the music is taking a much more active role. At the end when Ruth is on her break and is trying to kill Sister Claudia, and it's the so she shows up in this doorway, looking like a wet cat, just completely pathetic. And she is framed from behind, and it just kind of makes it very dramatic and makes like kind of sells that like she's like something's going off, and like she's not here to do good things. There's a lot of that where it's like there's like the lighting work has been very well done in a way that again you can see how it's Academy Award like were technical awards, like it is very technically well done.
Yeah, like I said, it's a beautiful looking movie. I can't deny that. Like just how lovely it looked alone was at least enough to hold my attention for a bit. Again, I just feel like this needed either a stronger plot or stronger characters. It had to have one or the other.
Makes sense.
I need somebody or something to latch onto.
That's fair.
But as it is for me, it was just a bunch of stuff that happened.
Would you say that it was better or worse than your last appearance on this pod?
Better, probably, just because at least it feels like they were trying to do something of substance.
And because it's not 3 hours long.
But on the other hand, I definitely had a lot of fun on the Around the World in 80 Days episode.
That's fair. I have not brought up pegging in this episode yet. Though by saying I haven't, I think I sort of have.
You just kind of did, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't have it as one of my like Halloween rewatches, at least partially because like everyone gets mad when I want to watch movies from prior to like 1960. Everyone's mean to me. Mean to Ellie. I am simply silly and want to watch classic films, but I like classic films like this. I like seeing how they used to do things, and this is probably the best opportunity I'm going to get to talk about a pre 1960 horror film. Night of the Hunter won no Oscars. Neither did any of the famous like German impressionist horror films. A lot of the film we technically talked about another. You and me even Jasmine talked about another pre 1940s horror film, although somehow that was even slower. Oh, we lost Jazz, I think.
All right, I have returned. I am so sorry about that.
It's fine. Welcome back. Yeah, I was gonna say like obviously the directors know what they're doing. Powell and Pressburger's next film was The Red Shoes, a movie that you might have heard of.
I love The Red Shoes. I actually almost rewatched it right after this, but then I realized, no, I don't have time.
Well, go watch it. Thief of Baghdad was right before it, so they're clearly
They got the juice.
They got the juice and the sauce. The Joss? No, that's nothing.
No.
Don't.
No, they don't have the Joss. We don't, in fact, need to have the Joss.
We do not need Joss to get his hands on this.
Joss Whedon's Black Narcissus. How are we feeling about that premise?
Pretty bad.
No.
Pretty bad.
Why do I hear a missile approaching my house at top speed?
Vel is approaching your location.
God.
I mean, that's sort of the thing. Like you hear this premise. It's interesting to me from like a sociological standpoint. You know, nuns are in American horror, not American Horror Story, but yes, in American Horror Story, but also in American horror media, so often the subject of horror. It's interesting to see one where being a nun is represented fairly neutrally, and the character goes nuts when they cease to be a nun.
Yeah, being a nun is the least of these people's problems.
Yeah, I would say they are trying to do their job. The show is actually fairly, which is why again I find that complaint about it being like unfair to the monastic traditions ridiculous, because it's like the movie's impression of being a nun is that like a lot of people come to it for various different reasons, and it's maybe not for everyone's constitution,
Mm-hmm.
but that like it's ultimately hard but fulfilling work, and sometimes you don't succeed at what you're trying to do with it. It's a very sympathetic view towards nunnery than I would say certainly most modern horror,
Mm-hmm.
at least modern American horror. And their failings are as much to do from the fact that they're thrown in an extremely hard task as much as any of their individual like inability to like keep their head in the game, or refusal to stay objective, anything else that they could have done there. It's like they just as much failed because the task itself was nearly impossible.
Get your head, get your head, get your head in the game. I've never actually seen that movie.
God.
Yeah, you're right. It is a fairly kind portrayal of nuns compared to most horror media. I do find it extremely interesting that the order they're part of, I don't know if it's a real order that does this, but like they say at the front, you only take your vows for a year. You have to keep re-upping them, because that means that like you're not trapped. You can leave. You just gotta like, so if you're in it, you are in it because you want to be here.
Yeah, because the thing is that Sister Ruth announces that she intends to not
Mm-hmm.
renew her vows. Which, like, yeah, I'm not sure if that's. I'm not familiar with monastic tradition, so it's like I'm not sure if that like is accurate to a specific Anglican tradition, but like it is at least interesting in that regards.
Mm-hmm.
And they largely like the other the other nun who says that she needs to go back to England because like she's like losing herself to the environment, is she never views it as a failure of being a nun. She doesn't view it as a failure of the task, of like her role as a nun. She just views it as, hey, she didn't do it, and she needs to go back and remind herself of who she is. So it's very even-handed, very fascinating in that
Mm-hmm.
regard.
I also went and looked because while we were, we had a brief, I will tell the audience because I will edit the part where it happened out. We had a brief hiccup with one of our guests' internets. I went and looked up what the Anglicans wanted, what the Catholic Legion of Decency wanted pulled from the film, and apparently it was all the scenes of Claudia's flashbacks, which is such an odd pick for me.
What? Like, those were really interesting, actually. I actually really liked that. And not just because that was a gorgeous dress on Deborah Kerr. Like, I get why people thirst over her now.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I would like to see more. I wish that all of the characters got some flashbacks. I would like to know why Sister Philippa.
Yeah,
Let's Orange the New Black this shit.
Yeah. Or let's not Orange is the New Black of this shit, because that show kind of went off the rails very quickly. But the premise, I know.
And I mean, not the ending of it, but back when it was good.
Back when it was good. That I know what you're saying. I'm being pedantic.
yeah, like kind of the fundamental issue that I had with a lot of the extended cast is it's like they're barely there in a meaningful way. Like And so it's like it becomes the Sister Claudia show. And like, yeah, those flashbacks, those like, and it's fascinating in that like it shows the effect that the si- the location is having on her, and like Dean for some reason is having on her, where she's now going back to like the reasons that she joined her monastic order. And it's like, yeah, that's actually kind of interesting. Why did Honey do it? She seems really happy and nice. I feel like she'd probably have an interesting reason for why she's in a monastic order. Why the hell is Sister Ruth in this? She seems like she's what, as we see, she's about one bad day from going off the rails. Why would she go to a specifically, apparently very
Restrictive?
not harsh but very work focused monastic order?
My theory is her family just couldn't take her mental illness and decided to try to get rid of her.
And just shipped her off. Yeah.
That would be really interesting to see. And Sister Bryony's reasons would be that one audio clip that Vel and I like. Women, 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 let me in, let me in.
I'm not gonna lie, I am kind of curious to give the TV show a try to see if maybe it fills in some of these gaps that we're missing.
Maybe. I mean, it's based
Yeah.
on a book, so any of them could be there.
Yep, I guess I gotta look into the book now too. It's almost like that's like my whole thing.
Love you, Jazz.
Love you too.
I don't know, like I'm fine with it not giving me any or all of the answers. I really like the flashbacks as well, not just because of Deborah Kerr in the dress, because I really like it's a very early example of like audio leading into a flashback. J cutting, the dogs barking in particular, I'm very fond of, as it likes like a really good cut. So, but I want more. I like the movie a lot. I would like to see more of it.
Yeah. And it's like kind of cool seeing like Sister Claudia as like this, like, I don't want to say rambunctious, but like she's riding horseback, she's out fishing,
she's singing Christmas carols. Just something that like I have trouble believing people actually did.
I've gone caroling.
I definitely have. Go on.
I've never been caroling, but when I was a kid, I lived in a place where oh, let's go out caroling tonight. It's 5 degrees.
Yeah, no, that's definitely not going to be a thing in Alaska. But in New York, I've done it. I've been part of many a holiday choir, including in my current workplace. Really looking forward to Mistletones this year. Like, it's just like a nice little extra dose of holiday cheer.
Note to anyone listening who happens to know where I live, that is not an invitation for you to come demonstrating caroling to me. Stay off my lawn.
Don't talk to me, come back with a warrant.
Well, darn, I was gonna surprise you.
You can come to my lawn, Jasmine. You are my friend Jasmine, my beloved friend Jasmine.
Aww. I love you too.
Speaking of which, Jasmine, my beloved friend, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
I most certainly do. As I've mentioned, I am the host of A Neat Retelling, the podcast where we explore all the ways old tales are made new. We are getting into the end of the year, which was always a lot of fun. We got, of course, our spooky month selection. We've got our Oz month too. Will I call it Oz month for good? Probably. And we've got our holiday season stuff. So please come and join us. And you can find me at Favorite Vieira on basically every social.
And you should. Vel, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
If you want to hear more of me or see any of the stuff I paint, you can find me on Blue Sky at snakegirls.net. I don't have anything else to plug at this time.
Fair enough.
As always, you can find me, Ellie, on Tumblr at Football in Tuxedos with dashes between the words. You can find me on Blue Sky, Medium, and Letterboxd at LSR42. And you can find this podcast on Blue Sky at Biggest Night Pod. We are available on both Spotify and YouTube. And if you follow us on YouTube, be sure to give us a subscribe, maybe like and comment on the videos so that you can tell me which parts you like and which parts you don't.
And that's it for our time with Black Narcissus. Thanks to both Jasmine and Vel for coming out. But, this movie was a little on the short side. So we decided to go back to real time runners for our next one. For our next film, we are going to be going back to 1981 to talk about the Warren Beatty epic Reds. It is 3 hours and 15 minutes long.
Damn.
Hope to see you there.